All right, peace and blessings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Taylor House Publishing, where we're going to explore one of the sundown towns here in North Carolina. Now, we all know that we've been covering the story of Javion McGee, who was found under suspicious circumstances in Henderson, North Carolina. Now, early articles about the incident portrayed Henderson, one article I said, as it used to be a sundown town. They said in like 1968. Now that people are looking into the Javion McGee case, the residents of Henderson are defending Henderson as not being a sundown town, of which it may very well be as of today. Nevertheless, there's still a history of racism in this country that still allows the spirit of those actions to continue, as many people feel that it continued in the situation of Javion McGee. So I was looking up some information, and I was looking up actually King, North Carolina, because a lady said that she stays close to King, and everybody knows, every black person knows who lives there, don't go to King. Don't even go to certain parts of King. And so I looked up King, but something else came up, and it was the county that we're talking about today, the county, Mitchell County, and the county seat is Bakersfield. Now, a little bit about this history of this town. It's located in the northwestern part of North Carolina, and the town was named for Elisha Mitchell, who was a professor of mathematics, chemistry, geology, and mineralogy at the University of North Carolina from 1818 to his death in 1857. Now, I also did a book, I published a book by a local activist who went to North Carolina, and his goal was to change some of the names of the buildings who named after known races. And in his book, Elisha Mitchell was one. Now, Elisha Mitchell argued that one of the peaks in Mitchell County of the Black Mountains was the highest mountain this side of the Mississippi River. He explored it, he measured it. However, in 1857, it said that he fell to his death on a waterfall on the side of the mountain. And so the mountain was named Mount Mitchell, and now the town is called Mitchell County. But as it relates to what we're talking about today, in 1899, Mitchell County had a sundown policy which prevented black Americans from living or working in the county. However, it said by the early 1920s, they did allow blacks to work in the county in larger numbers, especially as mine workers, and get this, convict laborers. Now, we all know about the black code and the black laws and the convict laborers. They outlaw slavery. However, if you was a convict, then they can pretty much put you in slavery under the guise of convict laborers, right? And so in September 1923, almost 101 years ago to the date, a 75-year-old white woman named Alice Thomas accused John Goss, an escaped black convict laborer, of the R word. Now, as I mentioned in previous broadcasts, that is the catalyst. That is often the jump start of many of these racial riots throughout history. So here we see it again being played out. A 75-year-old white woman accused this black man of escaping prison, and the first thing he does is want to go R word a 75-year-old white woman. Now, make that make sense. Now, we all know the story of, I think her name was Kathleen, somebody who just died, but she was the white woman who accused Emmett Till of making a pass at her. Now, it was found that she was lying, But of course, they didn't do anything. They let her die in peace. Nevertheless, when a white mob heard of this, they said a white mob formed and they started to look for Goss. But and that white mob was formed of members of the Ku Klux Klan as well. But they said they could not find Goss. So it was then that they forced nearly all of the black people that lived there or worked there onto train cars and pushed them out of the city. Now, the governor of North Carolina at that time, Cameron Morrison, who was also listed in that book of racist people that buildings of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill was named after. So, and it says here he was an ally of the infrastructure, which means he was an ally of preventing blacks and everything from living in that town. So he declared martial law and he called in the National Guard in an attempt to stop the mob violence. But by the time the guard arrived, 2 days later, the black mine workers and construction laborers had already been driven from the county. Now, we all know the mob National Guard has been called in on several occasions, but most of the time they are called in defense of the mob, which I have no doubt that that was the case here. Now, they said the National Guard occupied the county for nearly 2 weeks, and despite Morrison, the governor's martial law having little effect, it was the first time that martial law was declared in response to an instance of mass racial violence in the United States. Now, this article says that they forced all the black people on the trains and out of the county. There's no telling what they did to those black people on the trains, out of the county, or even before they left the county. You know, we all know that history is sometimes painted to favor the victors in this case, or in this case, the aggressors. But they said ultimately 86 members of the white supremacist mob were indicted for their actions, and many of them pled guilty to minor offenses. Basically, you know, they're giving them a slap on the wrist. So they said Goss, the quote-unquote fugitive, was then arrested in Hickory, North Carolina, 4 days later after being accused of the R word. And by the orders of the governor, he was jailed in Raleigh to prevent him being by the angry mob, right? And so they said that this man was tried 3 weeks later. 3 weeks later in Mitchell County, and he was convicted by a jury after 5 minutes of deliberation and executed by electrocution. And so this probably all-white jury took no time in bringing him to trial. You're talking about a fair and speedy trial, right? I don't know about fair, but it definitely was speedy. And they deliberated 5 minutes, and then they sentenced this man to expiration by execution. So I just wanted to bring this up because I know 100 years ago seems like a long time, but I've been out there to those northwestern towns, and they are known, you know, for you know, racism. Let's just be honest. And currently today, the population of Mitchell County, Bakersville, Mitchell County is only about 15,000 people. Those 15,000 people are 91.2% white. And then it says 2.2% white Hispanic, and that's another thing. Hispanics often identify themselves as white, and then 2% Hispanic, and 1.65% other. Those are the top 5 demographics in the area. It does not mention any black people. And so I would venture to say that this could be classified as still a sundown town, if you ask me. As I mentioned, a lot of black people told me about King, North Carolina. King is a place, and I have to do some research on that, but it was said that King, North Carolina is a spot where, you don't want to go if you are of a certain hue. Now, a lot of people oftentimes pointed to the recent destruction there in Western North Carolina as a direct judgment or punishment or consequence or karma, whatever you want to call it, of the past histories in those counties. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to say yay or nay, but a lot of people feel that way. And actually, this is in this article, it says that the county took a direct hit from the storm of the century, also known as the 1993 superstorm or the Great Blizzard of 1993. The storm event was similar in nature to a hurricane. The storm occurred between March 12th and March 13th on the east coast of North America. The county suffered a tragic event on May 3rd when a fire broke out at Mitchell County Jail in Bakersville, North Carolina. 8 men lost their lives. Now, then it goes on to talk about how they were one of the dry counties in North Carolina, along with Graham, Yancey, and another few counties. But I just wanted to share this story because once again, we are diving into the covert possible racism that results in many of these towns. I just got a video last night of a police officer in Johnston County. Johnston County is right next to the county I live in, Wayne County, and where 2 police officers are seen on tape battering a young black man outside of the Amazon Center. And I'll probably explore that a little bit later on. But this is just a quick history lesson of North Carolina. And you see right there behind me, that's a photo of this is this is where I'm at now, and I guess that is a old photo of the old times. You see, there's not many black people in that picture as well. So the history of North Carolina, the history of America, has a deep-rooted dislike of people who look like me, and just because it's not overt, outright in the open, there are still people who know that there are certain things, there are certain rulers, there are certain principalities that will act in certain ways if you are out of line or out of position or out of place. And by place, I mean location. So keep this in mind. Once again, if anybody has any information about Mitchell County or, that is opposition to this, feel free to call me, 919-587-7782, or you can email me, taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. But I did just want to share this little bit of information as it regards to the situation in Henderson, North Carolina, where people, once again are saying that it is not a sundown town. And people may say today that Mitchell County is not a sundown town. However, there are no blacks there. And so I just wanted to share this, and I might do a couple of more of these sundown towns. But I think this is relevant because, once again, there's nothing new under the sun, as Ecclesiastes says, and history always repeats itself. Or as one person said, if you don't know the history, then you are bound to repeat it. So many people feel that because it's not so in your face today, it doesn't exist. Some people have denied even the fact that this is something that could happen in Henderson in regards to our brother Javion McGee. Some people are in complete denial that, there is still that element of racism that could do something so horrific to a young black man. I, for one, am not one of those people. Peace and blessings. Y'all have a blessed day.